Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Today, I'm going to share something very special. It's one of the most known and most loved poem in China. Well, I started a poetry segment, and it's quite daring. I try to explain something quite because it's from a different culture, different sentimentality, different poetic icons, ways of expression. So it's quite daring of me to present this to you, but I will try my best to make sense of the Chinese mentalities over there. So today we are going to, continue on the idyllic homecoming, hometown image described in 小桥流水 from yesterday. And the full poem is presented here. 天净沙秋思. So this is about autumn melancholy. And 天净沙 is the music, the name of the music. So we have some fixed music form, and then people fill in different lyrics, and we end up lose the music, the melodies, but left with the words. Of course, words travel longer, stay longer with us, right? Words can be kept, but the music lost as the generations of musicians lost, right? There were no recordings back then, no YouTube back then, so yeah, totally different game changer. Anyways, so 天净沙, I translate as sky purified sand. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense in Chinese either, but we're used to see this. And it's probably describing a kind of a clear sky, but with sand in there. So you kind of see the location of that is kind of close to desert, kind of a dry environment. And then you have the sentiment, start to project to the environment, or the environment kind of affecting the sentiment. So here we go. 枯藤老树昏鸦. 6 characters in one phrase or stanza, right? And then each one composed of an adjective plus a noun. So basically we have 3 nouns string together, each one just one descriptor. We have shriveled branches, kind of depicted in here. 老树. Well, this is 老树. Okay. 枯藤. Okay. 枯藤 is, we can call it the branches of vines, something, I forgot the English character, but sometimes in literature we do see this kind of branches looking granular or gnarly kind of sense of it's not streamlined. It got a lot of texture and twisting, turning, so that the shape itself shows you the state of being, right? Through quite some growth and stop of growing, kind of depressed, but still hanging there, the kind of struggle. So that's the 枯藤. So this teng, and now it's shriveled because it's a dry environment, sand, right? Desert. So it's a 枯藤. It's not it's a tough environment basically. And 老树, again, this tree stand there for a long time, and it's old tree. And then 昏鸦 is basically, well, this is a water bird, right? But it's a crow we're depicting here. So the crow were standing in a sunset background. Or you can say the crow itself is at its own sunset. So it's an old tree plus an old crow. So nothing is really lively over there. It just with 3 images, with 6 characters, this bleak painting in front of us of a dry environment, nothing really lively, things are shriveled, old, or at sunset. So this set the tone. And then we start to see 小桥流水人家. Okay, it instantly forms a contrast with the previous image picture, right? So now we come back to this southern China, well irrigated well humid, very habitable condition with delicate, small little bridges, kind of Chinese way, just to me, it's cute. It's small. It's reachable almost. It's homey. It's close to you. It's not large, grand, unrelatable scale. It's totally relatable to you. So that's our 小桥 and 流水. They are flowy streams. Imagine an Eastern Venus view of this water walks connected through this little bridges, and there are households in between. And 人家 exactly is that. It's like people live in this village or this town probably. And this is 人家, especially 家 is this concept of home. Even if 人家 seems like other people's home, actually it could be your community. So this is 小桥流水人家 forms a contrast, like climate-wise, from this 枯藤老树 hunya, right? This desert land, dry land. Now we finally have water, this contrast, and this is home. The place with water is home. And now we're back to reality again. 古道西风瘦马. So this depicts this desert land is what this author, when he was writing this, probably, at least that's the image people imagine in later generations of our own, where we project our own life experience and, renderings. So this is 古道西风瘦马 sense. Again, ancient, something about old, some old time. So probably it passes glory times, right? 古道, so it used to be some, imagine Silk Road, or like hundreds of years after the Silk Road. So after this prosperous trade, busy road, now it's kind of going downhill, and the past was still there, and it's kind of ancient, right? Still there are people still trading, but it was past its peak. It's no longer that hustle bustle looking. So it's kind of already empty, and that's kind of, things are going down, kind of a depressive sense. 西风, xi is, so in relative to China's geography, that the center part of China is more agriculture, or the eastern part of China is more agriculture friendly environment. Further toward the west, it's more mountains, higher elevation, more deserts, drier, so it's less agriculture friendly, less human habitable. And so this 西风 also gives you the sense of this wind carried sand with it, and chiseling your bones, cutting through your skin, something like that, give you that kind of sandy feeling. And 瘦马, so well, this is kind of sad, right? Because this is a traveler, probably long distance trading and traveling, and the horse, even after long travel, gets skinnier. So that's the result of, and that gives you the context, right? So this is a traveling merchant, long away from home, far away from home, and now he is left with 古道西风瘦马. This is the reality he's living right now, is passing through this ancient trade roads and experiencing the west wind, probably with sand, with kind of a dry, it's not pleasant to your skin or to your lungs at all, right? And then your companion, this skinny horse, traveling with you, and probably through through the skinny horse, you can see the traveler himself, probably not in a good, healthy condition, right? It must be tiring. It's a long way away from home. And then now the final sentence kind of hit the nail on the coffin. That's the full sentiment. So after this contrast of reality, dreamy homeland, reality of tough environment again, and now finally the final words of the sentiment finally here. 夕阳西下，断肠人在天涯. Okay, 夕阳 is sunset. Still have the sun. Again, this drying, this the sun scorching the earth image, but it's setting. So things are going to get cooler, but it's a setting sun. So setting sun, sunset is not in desert, probably not as beautiful. Well, I couldn't say, I haven't seen that, but probably for this skinny horse and tired traveler, for them, the setting sun evoke this feeling of a day is gone, and desert night probably is chilly, right? And then 西下 is the sun is setting toward the west and it's sinking down. So this kind of setting, this sinking, this downward movement, right? This motion through the characters, through the language, and also this motion, downward motion, probably inside the author as well. It's going downward, this depressive feeling is coming out. And then the final sentence, 断肠人. Okay, here is a difference between English and Chinese. Chinese, we use 断肠人, your intestines, your guts, basically, your guts, the tubular forms of your innards are broken into pieces. So we use 断肠人, we use guts, broken, instead of heartbroken to describe how broken we are. So that's a very interesting difference between the two cultures. We do have 心碎, like heartbroken. That's probably a translation, but in ancient language, in this poem, about 1,000 years ago, we would say this heartbroken, we would describe with 断肠. So your guts are broken into pieces, all those tubes of intestines, small intestines and big intestines, like all that used in this 肠. So that's intestines, and then broken. So you have broken innards. Inside, you're broken. And 人 is a person, right? 在天涯. Why you're broken? Because you are far at the edge of the sky, or at the edge of the world. You're so far away from home. That's why you're so homesick that your innards, you're broken inside. So that's, the killing word, the phrase to describe how this traveler felt. So I come all together, put together. I'm going to rhyme it, bring the rhyme out for you. And you can hear how Chinese in our native language, I can recite to you how it sounds together. And hopefully you can hear just audibly, not only the images are created, but audibly how the poem in Chinese sound like. Here we go. 断枯藤老树昏鸦，小桥流水人家，古道西风瘦马，夕阳西下，断肠人在天涯. So I mark out the last character, the vowels. You can see 呀、家、马、下. So you can see the kind of pattern of alternatively. They are and iya and and iya, right? And then the last one, ya, again, call back to the first. Ya is the same, but it's ending with again. So it must come with the music, right? So it's kind of a music, they have to rhyme in a certain way. And that's what this 天净沙 kind of formula dictates. And then the filler, the words, the lyrics go inside it, have to follow a certain sound rules. And then the author, beyond the sound consideration, put together this image, the kind of churning inside the traveler homesick, sentiment in this dry place, especially 古道西风瘦马. It's really, killer image over there. Okay, here, on top of that, I'm going to point out interesting findings when I was looking for to find the image to go with the poem, I saw this. This is on the cave of Silk Road. So along the Silk Road, there were probably in Tang Dynasty, which is 1200 years ago or 1500 years ago, that people, wait, is it true? We are in 2022, right? So it's 1200 years ago, that the trade people of there, like merchants, when they make a fortune, made a fortune and they want to, have their ticket to heaven, basically, same idea. So they would fund such projects to build temples along the trade road. And then it's inside the caves. So basically luxurious, elaborate cave paintings back then, mostly religious paintings. So a lot of Buddhas on the wall. And so this is their way to kind of pay tribute to the religion, the dominant religion back then, Buddhism, for them to kind of justify, like, yes, I made money, but I also made my contribution, right? And then on the cave wall, one of them shows when the East and the West through the Silk Road met back then to stylize the different Buddhas. And you can see this is a Western Buddha, have a different hairstyle and the look, the nose looks differently, the mouth looks differently, versus the Eastern Oriental Buddha, which is more like a streamlined, simpler facial features, like a more almost like a minimalist face, right? Versus this is more curvious, more things going on that face. So this is kind of a contrast, and it shows the East and West different facial features, and that's like two different cultures, two different kind of Buddhism, but they are both Buddhas, and they show up on the same cave wall. And that is a kind of a background to this poem of this trade road, Silk Road, supposedly. Back then, probably in Yuan, it's about 1,000 years ago, so it's like 400 years after this peak trade time, that still merchants still go that route, but it was not as it used to be. And this is the context of the poet come out with this. And one last page, I want to show you the beautiful, the contemporary image. Of course, this is kind of like a traveler's guide for that region, which is Xinjiang, actually. So there were probably Western audience heard something about Xinjiang Wurgo. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Weiwur is Chinese way of saying like Wurgo. They're people of there, they don't really look like Chinese. Just look at my face and their face of the two girls there, we look different. I'm more Eastern side of China, flatter face, versus they have like higher bridges and deeper setting eyes, more 3D face and more 2D, so to speak. But they are, they are the ethnic groups living in there, and that's their natural setting. I mean, this is because from tourist sides, of course, that's the best looking shots from that region, but they do have it. They have snow-covered mountains and green grasslands, and this is the kind of living environment, and this is their food, this is their people. So a beautiful place from the perspective of today's tourist destination. And that's the kind of environment. But the desert we were talking about is another part of this region that is drier, is desert, more deserty. And then, of course, people choose to live with water, right? With nicer environment. So, you never know. You could travel on the side of a desert and feel really, really bad. Or you could travel past through this beautiful grassland and high, tall mountains with a lake over there and get mesmerized. So it doesn't really depend on what, it doesn't really depends on how far you are from home. Yes, we're homesick, but probably the sceneries, the journey, like where you go to, where you pass through, and that scenery does like matter a lot to how you feel inside, right? So that's our poem, 天净沙秋思, and it's one of the lineage of poem that kind of bring up melancholy, the sentiment of sorrow, of homesick, nostalgia, in the setting of a fall color or sunset, kind of a golden glow, desert, yellow brownish color palette comes with with a season or with the environment to go with this melancholy. So that's one type of poem in China. All right, cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.